We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Whoa, big business. Man, I'm the boy on big business for you get to snoop. Even my doghouse got a backyard. Canelo PAYDAY, you want PAYDAY, I know that. And Caleb Plant looks to be a success. Let's find out about the live gate in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Let's jump right into it. Boxing reporter Lance said, looks like Canelo in sweet hands. Caleb Plant generated a $17 million gate in their Saturday night sellout at the MGM Grand, I am told. So Steven Espinoza, he had already been on record stating that this will top any UFC gate, or it would be like one of the biggest gates of the year, things of that sort. And with the $17 million gate, that is remarkable. And it goes to show you that this fight was anticipated, had a very good buildup. And SHowtime, CBS, Steven Espinoza, and Al Heyman, along with the fighters, of course, Canelo Promotion PAYDAY, Canelo, Eddie Reynoso, and Caleb Plant, they did a good job selling the fight. And let's not forget, the fight as a whole was an awesome event, and it was a legendary, historic event, and it was a very good fight as far as fights are concerned. But this makes me happy. It just shows you that boxing, when it gets it right, undisputed, all the marbles for all the belts. When boxing gets it right like this and all cylinders are fired, it is hard for any sport to compete. You know, people, I seen 2 Chainz was there. You had celebrities out there. And this is a very well live gate. Now, this is something that's ironic. You have a lot of anti-PBC and Premier Boxing Champions haters who are saying whatever they want. But it's ironic that I'm the only one that seems to be talking about this live gate that I've really seen. And I think these are great numbers. In fact, everybody should be impressed with this particular fight. Some people said Caleb Plant wasn't a big name. Some people said that Caleb Plant, he only had 21 fights and he wasn't ready for this moment. But old media, no matter what people say, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. And no matter what all the detractors and the haters say, the live gate speaks for itself, and it shows that there was an interest. So even though people said Caleb had no shot and all that, people showed up and people spent their hard-earned money in a pandemic. Keep that in mind. We're still in a pandemic, right? With different regulations and restrictions and vaccination requirements or whatever. And this is the live gate that Canelo produced. So his first fight back with SHowtime, and he has produced the livest gate, the biggest live gate since the Triple G fights on the HBO days, which leads me and is a perfect segue into my next point. Now, there are some haters, there are some detractors of the channel, and they have focused in and honed in on me getting my prediction wrong. I did pick Caleb Plant. I said I thought Caleb Plant was in a 50-50 fight. Canelo was in a 50-50 fight. I picked Caleb Plant by majority decision. I said I think it could be like a split decision, majority decision. For that, I was wrong. Canelo got the stoppage. Congratulations to him. But it's ironic that the haters focus, you know, on that aspect of it. But even when I'm wrong, I'm right, because there's so much that I got right outside of the very prediction, just one prediction. What else did I get right? Let's talk about it. So I told you that I thought Eddie Hearn and Canelo and what they did for the Saunders fight was cap. If you guys recall, Eddie Hearn and Canelo Alvarez, they had pyrotechnics and fireworks in Texas for Canelo's last fight, which was still a title fight with Billy Joe Saunders. And they tried to make it look like it was this epic, remarkable, once in a lifetime historic thing. They even had they dug up some kind of fact saying that Muhammad Ali, the greatest, his attendance record was now broken by Canelo. And they said it was 71,000 people. Well, guess what? Canelo Saunders, I told you that was cap. There's more than meets the eye. It is very similar to the UK. They can have successful fights, but it doesn't compare to when boxing is done right and mega fights in places like Vegas, New York, and LA for big stars. Like, for example, Carl Froch, Anthony Joshua, they've packed out Wembley, and they've had anywhere from 75 to 100,000 people in one facility, in one building. But the ticket prices are different rates in a lot of those markets, meaning, and the UK has a lot of great, bang, mate. They got a lot of great fans who are willing to show up and support. There's not as many competitive sports in the UK as there is in America. You have a lot to contend and compete with. You got superstars like Steph Curry, LeBron James in the NBA and the NFL. And, you know, you got Jake Paul's fighting and different stuff in America. So a lot of people try to fool you with gimmicks and charades. And although my prediction was wrong, this is something that I got all the way right, because Canelo Saunders generated 9,200,920 off of 66,065 tickets sold. And then I guess they comped some tickets to fill some sections, but they said it was 71,000. So we'll just say 70,000 people. You had 70,000 people in one building in Texas with Canelo Saunders, which was a unification and it was a title fight on a streaming app, DAZN. And with that many people, it did not surpass the financials and the live gate from Canelo's first fight back on SHowtime pay-per-view. So you guys do the math. Canelo basically, I told you, the zone strategy is going to be hard pressed to work in America to get a bunch of foreign fighters that haven't built their name in America and just slap them on a main event, and audiences aren't really familiar, and or some of them aren't showmen, so they're not doing necessarily anything to build up the fight. It's just a fight or a good fight, right? All these things are factored in. Like, for example, we live in a society where Jake Paul is fighting, and him fighting Tyson Fury's brother, that's probably gonna have a lot of banter. Tommy Fury and Tyson Fury versus Logan Paul and Jake Paul. If Logan Paul fights Mike Tyson, hi, it's me, it's Mike Tyson. I'm the best ever. There's nobody that can match me. My defensive and prey, I'm just ferocious. I want his heart. I want to eat his kids. I'm so elated. I'm happy, right? These things are gonna have buildups, and in this social media, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, IGTV, YouTube land, Twitch, that helps the sales. So you can't just put a random guy from the UK who has done nothing, maybe hasn't even fought in America or hasn't frequently fought in America, and audiences aren't versed and aware of this person, and you just put them in Arizona, Texas, and just put them against a Canelo or whatever, or put them in with a Danny Jacobs like they did, you know, with certain fights or whatever, and think it's gonna sell. And that, my friends, is how the business works. So no one else seems to be really talking about this, so I had to make this video. Canelo Alvarez, his gate, I believe, was around $10 million with Kovalev. So the Saunders fight was in a pandemic. The Caleb Plant fight was in a pandemic. And if old media, what they tell you was true, then, and Caleb Plant had no chance and nobody knew him and Showtime sucks and PBC sucks, then why is the live gate pretty much doubled from these other fights? And then you look at the Kovalev fight, the live gate for that fight was more than the Saunders fight. So it shows you the power of a tourist city like Las Vegas, right? And keep in mind, the Kovalev fight was before the pandemic, and they had to wait for DAZN. They made an egregious decision to wait for the BMF fight on the UFC on a different coast, and they were showing it in the arena, and they had Canelo. They didn't give him the star treatment. They had him and Kovalev falling asleep in the back after they had already warmed up, waiting for the UFC to conclude for them to walk out, because Ryan Garcia was on that card and he got a quick knockout. So people want to hate on PBC. Recently, I did a video about it, Teofimo. He says Showtime Boxing is going to be out of business. Hell of a time for him to have picked that statement, considering that Canelo just fought on the network and established the rebirth, because he used to fight on Showtime at a point in time. I think the Josecito Lopez fight was on Showtime. So they just had Canelo. So in this year, Showtime has had the Charlo brothers. They had 2 Jake Paul fights. They had a Logan Paul fight versus Floyd Mayweather. So the return of Floyd Mayweather, right? They have fights like Jake Paul, Tommy Fury coming up. Cool Boy Fulton, David Benavidez is this weekend, right? They just had Canelo. They had Charlo brothers, 2 Gervonta Tank Davis fights, etc. So it's really weird that Teofimo would jump out the window and say this is now the time he thinks Showtime is in a bad spot. Showtime has put on the most pay-per-views, and as I'm breaking down the math for you guys tell me what makes sense. 70,000 people in Texas and all these ring walks and things with Billy Joe Saunders, and they did a $9 million gate, but Canelo pretty much doubles that with the $17 million. 9 plus 9 times 2 is 18. So he pretty much doubled the gate with fewer people. The Canelo Caleb Plant fight, because it had such a great buildup and it was promoted well on a big national network like Showtime, parent company CBS, it doubled the live gate. What are we talking about? And they did it off of 16,000 and some change people versus Eddie Hearn and DAZN. They had 70,000 people, and they're telling you that this was breaking Muhammad Ali's record and stuff. It's all cap. This is fraudulent. This is how you fake and perpetrate to make it look like it's grandiose and bigger. But this is more proof to what I've been saying. Again, you guys can focus on predictions. Okay, I got my prediction wrong, but what did I get right? I told you guys, there's more than meets the eyes when it comes to the business of boxing. The $17 million gate in a pandemic is fire. That's fire. And it just goes to show you the power of a fight that people want to see. So can you imagine Canelo versus other contemporaries in America that American audiences are familiar with, like David Benavidez or Jamal Charlo, maybe even Demetrius Andre, but I don't think he's been promoted as great as Charlo and Benavidez as of late. So it just goes to show you that a lot of what old media has said is actual cap. Old media is telling you like, oh, nobody wants to see Canelo on pay-per-view and bye pay-per-view. DAZN's the wave of the future and the streaming app that everybody wants, much cheaper. But you do the math from the business perspective. DAZN is cheaper. It's a monthly rate or whatever, and it's cheaper. But then Canelo charged $70-80 and had a bigger live gate. So you tell me who's making more money. I told you, fights like Yildirim and stuff, when the competition gets better, the live gates, the viewership, all that, the interest level, it all gets better as well. And a lot of y'all hated on Caleb Plant and hated on Showtime and Premier Boxing Champions, and they're producing. That's just, it is what it is. Saunders can have 70,000 people, but mathematically, I would rather have fewer people. It's the old adage, quantity versus quality. If for my business, I would rather have 16,000 people and make $17 million versus having a more full look of 70,000 people, but I only made $9 million. I mean, this is simple mathematics. It's like comparing a high-end furniture store versus the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, the 98-cent store. The high-end furniture, they could sell a love seat and sofa set, and the thing costs $20,000. Do you know how many dollar items the Dollar General would have to sell to contend with one furniture set that was sold by the high-end place? This is simple mathematics, simple arithmetic. And I seem to be the only person talking about it. Let me know what you guys think. Great live gate. I'll talk about this subject more on the channel. If you enjoy the content, subscribe, because I'm the best in the business. And I'm out. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.